العسكر أيوة بنهتف ضد العسكر أيوة بنهتف ضد العسكر مش عايز.
For this group of protesters, the revolution is far from over. Demonstrations like this take place every week in the Egyptian capital. They want the army to leave the political arena and for their comrades arrested during previous protests to be freed. Over a year of protests and still scores remain just as determined, like Ahmed and Hussein. They both lost an eye when they took part in demonstrations at Tahrir Square last year.
It's the same revolution, but it's unfolding slowly. It began on the 25th of January, and at each step, we lose martyrs but gain ground. And at the end of it, just as we toppled Mubarak, we will overthrow the military council and bring them to justice.
Following Mubarak's downfall, the military council took control, a move that further enraged the general population.
Nothing's changed. There's no change. Absolutely nothing. Since the start of the revolution, things have gone worse. People can't find jobs. There's no stability. We're worried about our children.
These protests won't bring jobs for the young. They'll only bog us down further. We have to wait for the election of a new president before we have stability.
A search for stability and hope that the country's first free and fair elections will bring the much desired change. Hussein and Ahmed bring us to their hangout, the Café des Amis, renamed the January 25th Café, the day the revolutionary protests came to the capital. On its walls are portraits of those who have died, faces engraved in the memory of their comrades.
Neither the elections nor the constitution are going to help us. No. People are expecting the next president, whoever he is, to pardon the youth that are in prison. It's we that have to fight their corner to get them out of there.
The presidential elections are on everyone's lips. The Center for Political Studies was founded by opponents to the Mubarak regime, and it's run by this young woman. For the past 20 years, they have kept a close eye on Egypt's elections, even when they knew they were rigged, a scrutiny that will continue to be applied for this presidential poll.
What has prompted us to monitor this election is love for our country, which all Egypt's youth share. It's the first real election in Egypt's 7,000-year history. So our role as members of civil society is as monitors or observers of what's happening, and to bear witness to this historic moment and to the huge change in Egyptian politics.
Some 10,000 election observers in 26 different regions have been trained by the founder of the centre, Dr. Said Eddine Ibrahim, a man whose stance against the regime landed him in prison, but today he's optimistic.
We're being positive, regardless of who wins, whether it be the Islamists, the liberals, or the fululs of the old regime, like the one on the banner behind me. The people are not taking it sitting down anymore. They control things now. They won't let any leader go without answering for their actions.
Egypt's media has had an overhaul since the revolution began. A number of newspapers have opened up and new television channels created, offering a variety of coverage for the first time. One of them, TV25, a channel set up and run by a group of protesters from Tahrir Square.
It's like a workshop or a school here. They all come in without any experience whatsoever, and they learn different things as they go along. I arrived with medical experience and known in media. I learned how to direct a broadcast, and he taught me how to edit.
Saif swapped his medical scrubs for TV time. Without prior media experience, like his fellow presenters and reporters, he's managed nonetheless to earn respect and a growing audience.
The day Mubarak stepped down, I was amazed by all those young people on Tahrir Square. I thought that somebody had to keep getting their voice out there. Their views have to reach the rest of the Egyptian people.
النهارده عندنا 3 مواضيع هنتكلم فيهم. الموضوع الأول وهو خبر جميل جدا.
Saif presents a daily show that focuses on social networks, the tools that helped mobilize the thousands that took to protest in Tahrir Square. Networks which Saif believes the current leaders are keeping under high surveillance.
People talk about freedom after the revolution, but this freedom hasn't been accorded by law or by the regime. Far from it. The number of bloggers and journalists arrested has risen since the revolution. What has changed is that now people are aware that they have to seize this freedom in spite of the regime. There's a great willingness to speak out. We don't want to stay silent anymore.
And it's not only in Cairo that people are refusing to stay silent. 140 kilometers east in the town of Suez, the revolutionary protests here began even earlier, on January 21st, some 3 days before the demonstrations swept the capital. Suez is a wealthy town, but the locals don't see much of the money. Here too, they remain motivated to continue the fight for change. But for this family, the loss of a son is a price too high to have to pay.
Islam was everything that was beautiful in our life. Not for 1 minute was he away from us.
A mother's sorrow and a father's anger. Anger made all the stronger by the fact that his son's death has not heralded in any change.
Unfortunately, the Egyptian people still have not reaped the fruits of the 25th of January revolution. Nothing of the sort.
Like the families of others who died in the revolution, over a year on, the Gennady family is still waiting to see justice done. They live in a neighbourhood that voted largely for Salafist candidates in the last parliamentary polls. But this family says they don't hold out too much hope in the Islamists either, a group that currently holds the majority in parliament.
Here's the photo of Islam, our martyr. The Islamists are only capable of one thing. That's trying to secure the important positions, get their hands on power. But they have no clue of how things work. Egypt is a big country.
The Salafists took 45% of ballots here in those last elections. Ultra-conservative Islamists, they want to return to Sharia law. For the parliamentary polls, they campaigned against alcohol and bikinis on the beach. They want Egypt to follow strict Muslim rules. These men insist on going to the mosque for each of the 5 daily prayers.
Praying in the mosque is a duty. Praying at the assigned time in the mosque is the minimum expected of a Muslim. Prayer is vital, like air and water.
Civil servant Mahmoud Nusir became Secretary General for the Asala party in Suez last September. As far as he sees it, religion and politics are natural bedfellows. And Sharia law should be part of it.
Sharia has been the basis of the Constitution since 1971. That's not my interpretation, that's in the Constitution. We are just trying to legislate for things that exist in the country, because people really want Sharia to be everywhere, to guide their lives.
Their extreme position can worry Westerners, notably perhaps tourists. Since the revolution, the number of foreign visitors to Egypt has dropped dramatically. The economy of Luxor in the south of the country, home to the ancient pharaohs, is completely dependent on holiday makers. In this factory that makes traditional souvenirs, the salary was roughly €80. But since the protests, Tayyip has seen his income cut in two.
Things were better before the revolution. We got paid more. We got gratuities too. There's none of that now. Because of the revolution, there are no more tourists.
Today is a good day as 2 tourist buses pull up. Rock-bottom prices on coastal hotels managing to attract a few.
First time in Egypt, and I like it a lot.
We're kind of up to speed on what went on. We were told about it during our bus tour.
If the demonstrations were more violent, we definitely wouldn't have come.
But 2 buses will do little to fill the visitor void. And it may be days before another group passes by.
We're waiting. There's nothing. It's pretty clear things aren't going to start moving right away. Maybe after the presidential election.
The flow of tourists on the nearby Nile River is also at a standstill, with pleasure boats all docked at quay. A lull not seen since some 60 tourists were killed here by an Islamist group back in 1997, say travel agents. Then travellers returned within a year, but the revolution is having a longer effect.
What gets me the most is there are huge plans here. Plans to build 5-star hotels. Things were opening up. The tourist industry was booming. Now there's nothing. It's all stopped.
Gone are the crowds that would push and shove their way around Luxor's famed ruins. Getting them back and establishing the solid stability to do so is the goal of Egyptians here. And they all hope that the next president will bring this closer to reality.